Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we got a power steering leak. We got to take care of it. And we noticed this the other day. Yeah, see, it's all wet there. We want to clean that up. I think this video too is a good way to show you guys the setup that we have going on down here. So this is just another angle. And I think what we're going to do is remove the whole wastegate and dump tube, or sorry, just the dump tube to get in here and see what's going on. I suspect it's a loose clamp, but we'll find out. And this is all part of that power steering cooler that I made, kind of a DIY, but it was obviously to replicate the OEM cooler that used to be there. Why are we watching this in normal speed? Why are we watching it with the volume on? Alright, excuse me. Turn the volume off. Let's speed this up. Should be a quick video. It's mainly to show folks where things hide and how I do routing and things like this for this whole setup. So basically, with the turbo manifold and the downpipe and the wastegate, we have to do a power steering cooler somehow, some way, and it basically comes around the front, wraps around the radiator, what you see there, and then is in behind the radiator. So here's a better shot. Lovely 30-year-old rust and stuff going on there that no one ever sees. Yeah, we could see here. It was just a leak from one of the bands going on here. But this is where I'm routing electrical over to the alternator. It's also where I route the cooler lines. It's also where the intercooler connects and sits. There's a lot going on down here. You'd be able to see this if the cameraman actually did a good shot. Hint, hint. Turn the camera. Yeah, sorry, y'all. Horrible camera guy. Let's change the shot. That's a bit better. Yeah, it's a lot better. Okay, so definitely we have the turbo, which looks like that bolt is loose. Maybe I'm seeing things. Anyway, turbo manifold oil return line squeezes in through there, and a 10A line, 10A in line, I think it is. And got the dump pipe. So the wastegate dump pump goes down through there, and you can see the power steer lines, how they wrap around into the cooler, which is behind the radiator. But obviously there's a heat related issue for the dump pipe and the power steer lines that are there. So we did take an old rad hose and wrap it around the other hoses and zip tied it, but it does work. But I think my rule here is anytime we're in fixing something, our goal is to make it better. So let's see if we can do that. Here you can see the wastegate, and the dump pump is removed. Dump pipe is removed. It would come down in this little area right by those connections there. So we can also see the alternator plug comes really close to the manifold, really close, pretty much touches. And this was one of those situations where you had a turbo manifold, low mount turbo manifold, and we had to use the alternator relocation bracket, ESP alternator relocation bracket. Otherwise, it would have hit their manifold. But even doing that, we end up with that alternator plug really close to the manifold. I can't think of a way to address that. So we used to have a piece of tinfoil on the end of that plug, and it worked great for many years. But it dried up and rotted away. I asked the tuner who put it there what it was. He said it was from 2003 Corvette distributor plug cap foil. So it's a foil cap for a distributor plug for a Corvette, which was like a tinfoil out of your home kitchen drawer, malleable, but it was made for heat and it worked great. Cannot find it again. Looked and looked, he looked. We can't find it. I suspect maybe it didn't come from a Corvette. I'm not sure. So we're just going to use heat wrap for it all. Just like this guy here, we're going to put heat wrap over the radiator hose that I put over the hoses. We'll just face it towards the dump tube, and that should be good. And I think this shot is a great one for other CB7 folks out there on how we did some things or how things are organized. So great shot of the ESP traction bar, where the 3-inch exhaust comes down, where the dump tube is going to come down, the alternator, the plug issue, the manifold, and just tight squeeze for everything. We could see the radiator hose and where the other lines came down before on the right hand side. Electrical wires, that is, from the front. But for now, we're just going to work this. Looks like we want to rotate it some and then redo the zip ties. But yeah, another great view of how things are run here. It is a tight squeeze when those power steering lines come up under the turbo. Here's another good shot of the radiator hose on the right. Those two lines you see coming out are basically the positive and negative lines for the battery. Some may ask why the negative line, and it was basically to help the battery charge. All positives need to get back to the negative. And I found that with the battery in the trunk, your prominent positives, mainly the spark plugs, the more dominant energy, we'll say, it needs to get back to the battery. It wasn't making it, which is fine, but this is to assist in battery recharging or making sure the positives get back to the negatives. This is that tight, cramped area I was telling you about. We're just finishing up here. So this is the power steering lines come up from that cooler and from the rack. They all kind of merge here under the turbo above the alternator. They need to be protected too because the alternator gives off heat. Real crammed area in here. Wish I could do it another way, but this was the only way. So lots of modifications here to make things work, that's for sure. But I hope this helped somebody. We're just finishing up here. This will be a quick, another boring video on just finding a leak, repairing the leak, and making sure things are good to go. And yeah, do appreciate everyone watching. I think we'll just cut it short here. And cheers. Thanks.